Welcome to Inspired Cooking with Lana. I am a life coach who loves to cook, so thought I would combine the two and bring you good food and food for thought. So let's get started. So I made corned beef and cabbage for my parents as a early happy St. Patty's Day meal. And now I'm going to use the leftovers of the corned beef and I'm going to make a delicious Reuben. So I am really excited. I don't know why I wait until St. Patrick's Day to give me an excuse to eat corned beef because I really love it. So I'm going to start by making the Russian dressing for my Reuben. So for the dressing, it's going to be very simple. We are going to do equal amounts of Japanese mayonnaise. So we're going to do, I'm going to say 2 tablespoons of Japanese mayonnaise and 2 tablespoons of sour cream. I can use my fingers because my hands are clean, and so anyway, so 2 tablespoons of each. So we're just going to mix those together, and to that we're going to add 1 tablespoon of horseradish, and I like it hot. A tablespoon is too big. So I have extra hot horseradish, so 1 tablespoon of horseradish. And then to give this a little tang and another unique flavor of spice is I am doing Frank's Red Hot original sauce. So I love Frank's, so we're going to do a tablespoon of that. So 1 tablespoon horseradish, 1 tablespoon of that. We're just going to mix that up. And to this, we're just going to add a splash of Worcestershire. And that's it. That is my Russian dressing. And next, I am going to make the dressing. So I am not a sauerkraut fan, so I am going to make some coleslaw. So I will use coleslaw instead of sauerkraut. So for this dressing, I'm going to start with just cutting up. You can see here, let me just slide this all over. I have some fresh parsley from my tower garden, so we're just going to give that a rough chop. And I like my parsley to be finely chopped. I don't really like a big piece of parsley in my dressing or in any other food. I love the freshness of parsley, but I don't like a big bite of it. So that's roughly 2 tablespoons of parsley, and then we're going to do 1 tablespoon of dill. This dill is also from my tower garden, fresh, so I like having fresh herbs on hand, and I like just putting fresh herbs into different sauces. Anytime I have an opportunity to use fresh herbs, I will do it. So we have 1 tablespoon of fresh dill, and let me go ahead and cut this lemon. And I'm going to put in the juice of 1 lemon. So I'm part Irish, and that's not the reason I love corned beef. But so my story of Ireland is I was 28 years old, newly divorced, and I wanted to do something really adventuresome and fairly brave in that I wanted to go to another country and travel by myself. So in my enthusiasm of doing that, a couple of friends actually ended up going with me over to Paris and Italy and Prague, but then I split off from them and I went to Ireland, and I hitchhiked through Ireland for a week by myself. So it was quite the experience, to say the least. Okay, so we have 1 tablespoon of lemon, or not 1 tablespoon, we have 1 lemon, the juice of 1 lemon, and then I'm going to have 2 tablespoons of red onion. I just really like the flavor of red onion in any salad, but especially with coleslaw. So to this, I am going to also add a tablespoon, I might add a little more of rice wine vinegar. So here we're going to add 1/4 of a cup of the Japanese mayonnaise. And we are going to add 1/4 of a cup of sour cream. So I really like the combo of sour cream and mayonnaise. We are going to add 1/2 teaspoon of celery salt and salt and pepper. And now we're going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar. I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons. I would rather err on the side of less sweet than more sweet. So we're just going to stir this all up. Give it a taste. 2 tablespoons was the right amount. That is delicious. Okay, so to this we are going to just put in our coleslaw. This is just bagged, shredded coleslaw. How much of that? I think I'll use the whole bag. And now I'm going to add the dressing, and I'm going to let these flavors meld while I work on the rest of the stuff. So I've decided to come back and taste test my Russian dressing because I just want to make sure I had everything in the right ingredients. So I've added a little more horseradish to it. I thought it needed a little bit more spicy, and I think it needs a little sweet. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of ketchup, and we'll see what this does. I think that was the missing ingredient. So don't forget the ketchup. And I'll have this all on my website for the recipe, but now this is perfect for the Russian dressing. So now let's get started on the sandwich. So I have here some leftover corned beef. Move this out of the way. And I'm going to wash my hands. So I cooked this corned beef in the crock pot. So I know that the Instapot is the new crock pot, right? Everyone is really raving about Instapot. But as the same with this is with technology, I'm kind of a slow person to jump onto the latest technology, and I'm kind of the same with my Instapot versus my crock pot. So I'm still with the tried and true tradition of crock pot, and I love, the way the meat falls apart when it has been in the crock pot. So this is the corned beef, and I'm just going to shred this, and then I'm going to stick it in the oven at 500 and just see if I can get it a little crispy on the ends. So not long. I'm not wanting to cook it, but it's super tender. I'm just shredding it. Again, this is my leftover corned beef from my corned beef and cabbage. So while my corned beef is in the oven, I just wanted to share that, when I went to Ireland, I was inspired to grow and, just a new chapter in my life, and I really did love that adventure. But there's a saying that my good friends, Sean and Jennifer, say, which is, if you're not growing, you're dying. So I think about that often, in my life of, am I growing or am I not growing? And that was definitely a time in my life where I was growing quite a bit. And when I first moved back to Lee Summit, I can honestly say there was a couple of years there where I felt like I was not growing. But I just would like to throw that out to you. So if someone asked you the question, if you're not growing, you're dying, I know that sounds extreme, but I do believe in life balance, and there is a time and a place for rest and for rejuvenation where you don't need to be challenging yourself. But for the most part, if you were to ask yourself that question, what would your answer be? So from here, I'm going to take out the corned beef. So, oh my gosh, the corned beef is crispy on the ends. I don't know if you can hear it like sizzling and crackling, but it smells amazing, and it just seems like the perfect texture, and I know it's going to be the perfect flavor. So let's get started on building our Reubens. So I have either you like rye or you don't like rye, and I love rye. So this is a rye pumpernickel swirl, which I think is perfect for this sandwich, and tasty, and also really beautiful. So this is a rye pumpernickel swirl. And to that, I am going to add my sauce, my Russian sauce, on both sides of the bread. Generous portions. I'm a sauce girl. And you want it even. You definitely want to make sure that it's spread throughout. You want every bite to have that flavor. And to here, we're going to add some Swiss cheese. So we have here some just Swiss cheese, deli Swiss cheese. I'm going to add, I want it to be, the entire thing to be coated. So I'm going to, covered I should mean. So I'm going to do, to make sure that all of my bread has a slice of cheese on it. So I have 3 slices of cheese, 1 on each, and then I split 1 in half. And now I'm going to add my delicious corned beef. And you know, since I only eat corned beef once a year, I'm going to pile this as high as I can get it. I want every last bit of this corned beef on my sandwich. So how yummy does that look? Now we're going to add the coleslaw. So you want to let this coleslaw hang out for a little bit so that it can marinate and absorb all the flavor from that delicious dressing that we made. So now we're going to add our coleslaw. You're probably wondering, how in the world is she going to get all of that into her mouth? All right, now we're putting the top on. And most importantly, with Reubens specifically, but in my mind important in any sandwich, if you want to elevate your sandwich, you butter the top and you put it in the pan. So that's what's up next. So I'm just going to take some softened butter and butter the top. Remove this pan. And again, I like my dressing completely covering. I definitely feel the same way about my butter. I want it to be evenly spread on the bread. And I have a pan heating here. So here is my preheated pan. I'm going to take this sandwich and flip it into the pan. And you want to let this go a little slow, so you don't want it to be too hot when you start, because you want it to have enough time for the cheese to melt. So while it's cooking on that side, I'm going to butter the top, the other side. Can you hear that sizzling? And I wish you could smell it. It smells amazing. So it is cooking nicely. So there's another guy, you know, a lot of successful people really do challenge themselves to continue to grow. And, you know, like my friends Sean and Jennifer, I'm listening to a podcast called The School of Greatness. And his name is Lewis, can't think of his last name, but The School of Greatness. Anyway, he's amazing. I'm loving his podcasts. And in the one that I listened to today, he was talking about, you know, how can he personally grow? And here he's, you know, he's just got so much going on, and yet he's looking at how he can continue to grow. So I do love that. Okay, I'm going to flip. Oh, I lost some of my, there we go. I lost a little bit of the corned beef, but I can get it back in there. No harm, no foul. And I don't know if you can see the top of that, but it's cooked perfectly brown. Okay, I think it's ready to come out of the pan. See if we can get it out of here. And here you have the perfect Reuben. I can't wait to dive into it. Let me just cut it in half right now. See that cheesy, yummy, gooey, and then there it is cut in half. So if you like this recipe, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and check out my website at inspiredcookingwithlana.com. Thanks for watching.